Pedro Pascal, then and now. From supporting roles to lead roles, before gaining prominence in 2014 for his role on Game of Thrones, Pedro Pascal spent nearly 2 decades performing in sporadic film and television roles. Pedro Pascal, whose full name is Jose Pedro Balmaceda Pascal, was born in Santiago, Chile, on April 2, 1975. He is a Chilean-born American actor who rose to prominence with a string of wildly popular television series, including Narcos, The Mandalorian, and The Last of Us. He's renowned for his portrayal of anti-heroic paternal figures. Originally known as Pedro Balmaceda, he is the eldest son of child psychologist Veronica Pascal Urida and fertility specialist Jose Pedro Balmaceda Riera. As a result of his parents' opposition to Augusto Pinochet's dictatorial regime, Pedro Balmaceda's family was compelled to flee Chile when he was an infant, eventually settling in the U.S. After time spent in Texas, where he participated in competitive swimming, the family relocated to Southern California. Therefore, Balmaceda shifted his focus to acting and enrolled in the Orange County School of the Arts in Santa Ana. Balmaceda matriculated at New York University in 1993. The majority of his family, including his parents and 2 siblings, returned to Chile 2 years later. In 2022, Jose Balmaceda pleaded guilty to tax evasion after being accused of covertly switching embryos of patients at the fertility clinic he helped manage. Pedro Balmaceda graduated from NYU in 1997. 2 years after his mother's passing, he resumed using her surname Pascal. While pursuing a career in acting, he worked numerous jobs, including as a waiter. In 1999, Pascal debuted on television, starring in a number of programs, including Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He began to appear frequently on series such as Touched by an Angel, NYPD Blue, Nurse Jackie, Homeland, and numerous Law & Order franchise programs. While the majority of his appearances were limited to a single episode, he occasionally played recurring characters. In 2014, Pascal portrayed an FBI investigator on The Mentalist. During the first 2 seasons of The Good Wife, he played an assistant district attorney. During this period, he debuted with the feature film Hermandas. Other films followed, including the sci-fi thriller The Adjustment Bureau, the romantic comedy Sweet Little Lies, and Pascal is best known for his work on television. Although Pascal was fine in consistent acting work, he was unable to land prominent roles. His breakthrough role as Oberyn Martell in the 4th season of the immensely popular HBO series Game of Thrones occurred in 2014. The character, a hedonistic, revenge-seeking monarch who seeks a tragic end, was a fan favorite and elevated the actor's profile. The premiere of the Netflix criminal series Narcos in 2015 was met with additional acclaim. Pascal portrayed Javier Pay, a Drug Enforcement Administration investigator who hunts Pablo Escobar for drug trafficking. The show, which aired until 2017, was a critical and viewer favorite. In Season 4, the native of Chile joined the ensemble of the fantasy drama of Oberyn Martell. During an April 2022 interview with British GQ, Pascal described his time on the HBO show as a fantasy. It was a great role at the height of the show's popularity, a perfectly written season and a perfectly written part. Go in, film for 10 weeks, and depart. The Wonder Woman 1984 actor continued. Nobody had the opportunity to get weary of me. Miraculously, I wore comfortable clothing. I was not wearing a hefty wig. I may have been the luckiest person to have attended at that event. In an October 2020 interview with Variety, Game of Thrones showrunner David Benioff disclosed that Pascal's audition was shot on an iPhone and looked like shit. At the time, he told the outlet the whole affair was amateurish, with the exception of the performance, which was riveting, believable, and spot on. In 2015, Pascal was cast as DEA agent Javier Pay in the Netflix series Narcos. His star continued to soar on the silver screen. He starred alongside Nicolas Cage in the films Kingsman, The Golden Circle, Triple Frontier, and The Unbearable Weight of Immense Talent. Pascal was inspired by his collaboration with the national treasure actor. It was an extraordinary challenge to rise to, but it was mostly a real stunning inspiration and a reminder of why I had the fantasy in the first place, the actor said during an April 2022 appearance on the post-credit podcast of Bro Bible. In 2019, Pascal began starring in the Disney Plus star series The Mandalorian, adding to his filmography. In 2023, he returned to HBO as Joel in The Last of Us, a post-apocalyptic drama based on the video game of the same name. During an interview with Entertainment Weekly conducted in January 2023, the Book of Boba Fett actor stated that he had so much fun filming Season 1 of the series that he would not dare speculate on future installments. You almost feel like it's asking too much if you have a really wonderful experience for it to be well received, or that experience to be translated to an audience, but that's the intention and what we want most, he told the outlet. Pascal's notoriety grew with The Mandalorian, a science fiction series set in the Star Wars universe. He portrayed the Epitomous character, a helmeted bounty hunter also known as Din Djarin, or Mando, hired to find Baby Yoda, Grogu. He instead flees to protect the infant. Pascal was then selected in the HBO series The Last of Us, a video game-based dystopian drama, the tough but tortured Joel Miller. The majority of the program takes place after a worldwide outbreak of an infection that transforms humans into zombies. Miller, hoping for a cure and redemption, agrees to transport the 14-year-old immune Ellie across the country to a medical facility. The show gained critical acclaim and became must-see television by combining suspense with moving storylines. While focusing on television, Pascal continued to make occasional film appearances. In 2016, he appeared in the action-adventure film The Great Wall, in Kingsman: The Golden Circle, an action comedy based on a comic book series about an intelligence agency. He made a memorable appearance as a villain. Pascal starred alongside Denzel Washington in The Equalizer 2 in 2018. Later notable films include Wonder Woman 1984, based on the iconic comic book character. Pascal portrayed the supervillain and devoted father Maxwell Lord. Pascal has also performed on stage, making his Broadway debut in 2019 as Edmund in King Lear. In addition to being an actor, Pascal supports LGBTQ rights. In 2021, his younger sister, Lux Pascal, revealed publicly that she was a transgender woman. However, after his mother's passing, he changed his name to Pascal to commemorate her. Veronica Pascal, Pascal's mother, was a child psychologist. Jose Balmaceda, Pascal's father, was a fertility specialist. His parents were members of a Chilean resistance organization. His mother was the cousin of the nephew of socialist president of Chile, Salvador Allende. Pascal's family migrated to the U.S. when he was 9 months old as a result of the rebellion against the dictatorship. Pascal began acting at a young age with local theater and school plays, and attended NYU, received his BFA in acting, began working, making an abundance of minor roles for the majority of his career, and now at the age of 47, he's played a handful of characters and would be considered the role of a lifetime for any actor. Pascal portrays Joel in the critically acclaimed HBO series The Last of Us, and he rose to prominence in 2019 as Din Djarin as the Mandalorian in the widely successful Star Wars spin-off The Mandalorian. Even though these are the most well-known roles today, he has a long journey and several career-accelerating achievements along the way. The Last of Us is an action-adventure video game released in 2013 by Sony Computer Entertainment and developed by Naughty Dog. The player assumes control of Joel, a smuggler tasked with escorting Ellie across a post-apocalyptic United States. The Last of Us is a third-person perspective video game. Players use firearms, improvised weapons, and deception to defend themselves against hostile humans and cannibalistic fungus-infected creatures. Up-to-date players engage in cooperative and competitive play in the online multiplayer mode. The development of The Last of Us began in 2009, shortly after the release of Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, Naughty Dog's previous title. Naughty Dog divided into two teams for the first time in its history. While one team developed Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, the other developed The Last of Us. All other elements were developed around the relationship between Joel and Ellie. Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson portrayed Joel and Ellie respectively through voice and motion capture, and assisted creative director Neil Druckmann with character and plot development. Gustavo Santaola composed and performed the original score. Following its December 2011 announcement, The Last of Us was highly anticipated. In January 2013, it was released for PlayStation 3. It was praised for its narrative, gameplay, visual, sound design, score, character development, and portrayal of feminine characters. The Last of Us is one of the best-selling video games, having sold over 1.3 million units in its first week and 17 million by April 2018. The game received accolades at the end of the year, including multiple Game of the Year awards from numerous gaming publications, critics, and awards ceremonies. It's been called one of the best video games ever created. The single-player campaign, The Last of Us Left Behind, follows Ellie and her closest friend Riley. The Last of Us Remastered, or a remastered version, was published for the PlayStation 4 in July 2014. The Last of Us Part 1 was published for PlayStation 5 in September 2022, and for Windows in March 23, Part 2 of The Last of Us was released in 2020. Other Last of Us media will include a comic book in 2013, a live performance in 2014, an HBO adaptation in 2023, a tabletop game by Themborn in 2023, an untitled multiplayer game, and forthcoming tabletop game by CMON.